becoming a professor. I'm sorry. I will immediately now mention a few points because we have to see. Actually, if you ask the Pakistani side of the thing, they will, I think, on a very broad aggregate level, they will say that there are three major problems. One is they will say, or India can also put up that front, is that India has already conferred the most favored nation status on Pakistan. Pakistan has allowed wider access to their goods, but the reciprocity is not complete. Pakistan, I believe, correctly or incorrectly, is almost on the verge of conferring MFN title on India. If that happens, possibly more of flows from both sides will accelerate, but most favored nation is one issue which is engaging the attention. More important from the point of view of Pakistan is that the structure and the intensity of non-tariff barriers put by India are far more than they can be absorbed by Pakistani trade channels at the comparable level of development. Understand, tariff barriers or non-tariff barriers is also a matter of the level of development to which a country has reached and has developed the capabilities of absorbing them in the days to come. It gives them an edge, competitive edge, etc., etc. So non-tariff barrier, whatever the composition, whatever the items or issues implicit in non-tariff barrier is another thing. The third most important thing, which was most vociferously talked about by the Commerce Minister of Pakistan who visited India just a few days back. Third was India and Pakistan had signed 3 agreements in as recent as 2012, but the process for implementation has been anything but right. The 3 agreements are redressal of the trade achievement agreement, trade grievances agreement, how trade grievances are to be mitigated by the machinery on both sides. There are so many issues which are behind it. I think in their view, it will facilitate the trade flow in a much more easier and convenient fashion if trade grievances agreements are put in shape and they are followed up more in implementation mode. The second agreement they say is mutual recognition agreement. I think that's also very important plank of the thing. And the third one is custom cooperation agreement. What stage are we? How our government machinery in this side or on that side are gelling together, watchful of what is happening. We have academically saying, and I will give the credit to the ICRIAR, they have very clearly identified some of the areas in which the trade can hopefully flourish between India and Pakistan, and those areas are very nicely put in terms of the high degree of aggregation and sub-aggregation even at the commodity level. I'm sure it will come over there. You will clearly see that there are many areas in which the two countries can complement each other's development effort. I don't have the time nor the intention. I would only like to end up by saying that we are no more living in the age when we can begin our talk and end our talk with export, import, facilitation of merchandise. We have now to talk, perhaps more glibly, perhaps more vociferously, in terms of export and import of services. Services of a huge variety you can talk of. But I will only single out 2 or 3, which possibly you will appreciate in me. I personally think, and I am an advocate of that trade, if I can use that word, trade in education, trade in health, trade in information technology, trade in entertainment, apart from other commodity areas, etc., etc. But the two things which stand out are education and health. It is happening between India and Pakistan, particularly education. Health sector is already a little bit coming up, flourishing up, thanks to the fact that Pakistan falls back upon India's health facilities, Indian health expertise in a more ways than one. But I personally think education sector is grievously not drawn upon. It is only a, if at all, there is something, it's more of a lip sympathy only to show to the world that we are not averse to the idea of getting education from anywhere. But I'm prepared to be taken to task because I am an academician. I have to say the thing very objectively. But Pakistanis are a little shy, a little unprepared to shake hands with India in the area of education. But I can assure you that if you open your mind, if you open your policy, if you open your facilitation process for Pakistani students to come to India to avail of the educational services, I think it can become a catalytic agent for fostering more happy, healthy and enduring relationships. Because understand, education, health and some such areas are not that you give commodity, get money for that. They have the potential of creating tremendous amount of goodwill. And I will stop by only telling you just a few sentences about what I have learned during a period of 3.5 years at a university called South Asian University. Pakistan is with us, is a part of it, and yet it is not. Pakistan says, yes, South Asian University is a wonderful exercise. There will be some of the best, persons to argue, analyze, and then give suggestions. But when it comes to effectively participating, being a part of it and everywhere, they will soon. Fortunately, with the change of the regime in Pakistan, people, they have now started realizing. Earlier, we did not have nominees from Pakistan to be on our board of governors. They have come. Earlier, Pakistan was hesitant or whatever it is there inside Pakistan, I don't know. They were not prepared to nominate, to participate in this. They would like to look at South Asian University from a slight so-called diplomatic, dignified distance. That distance is now mitigating again. And the most important thing that I would like to say that during these interim 3.5 years, perhaps I will have reason to compliment my wisdom, perhaps because I am a half Pakistani, as I tell you, my love for Pakistan will absolutely see no bounds. I never hesitated in having students from Pakistan. We have students from Pakistan. Not as many as I would like to have, but still. We have faculty, teachers also from Pakistan. We have people in our administration also from Pakistan. Very small number. I would certainly like to have more of them. But one single index of the success of this venture is that students at our university, they don't stay in individual rooms because there is critical shortage of rooms. We have running our show only in one hotel called Akbar Hotel. Just very close to this place, one hotel vacated by Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. Great obligation on us. I'm ever grateful to them. But you can't expand a university in a single building. There were hotel rooms. We converted them into classrooms. We converted them into residential. In one room, we consciously adopted the policy that students from 3 different countries will stay in the same room, at least 2. And believe me or not, first time when India's Independence Day came, a very big group of students came to my room. I did not know where were they from. When they spoke, I could see that they were 50% from Pakistan, 50% from India. I got a little alarm, as vice chancellors always have to be when big number of students troop into their room. I said, gentlemen, what can I do for you? He said, sir, we have come to do something for you. I said, what is it? We have decided to celebrate our Independence Day together. I never asked them. Believe me, that was the occasion when tears came to my eye. I said, South Asian University is born today. And now they don't ask me. It has become almost a practice year by year. And believe me, you go and talk to any Pakistani student, go and talk to any Bangladeshi student, they will not so much or so vociferously talk about Bangladeshi problem or Nepalese problem. They have started talking about the problem which the region as a whole has to comprehend, has to contend and prepare the region to counteract these things in the larger global context. You go and talk to any speaker who visits our university, he will tell you that your students are absolutely fantastic. Their vision has improved. After all, जिसको कहते हैं ना खरबूजे को देख के खरबूजा क्या कहते हैं खरबूजे को देख के खरबूजे का रंग बदलता है. आप अगर दो सवाल अच्छे उठाएंगे तो मुझे भी लगेगा मुझे को अच्छी बात करनी चाहिए, नहीं करूँगा तो आई विल आल्सो बी. Those are the things that are happening in the area of education. You can work out very nicely, peacefully, the so-called externalities of this thing. And in the externalities, I can very easily see the goodwill. And if you want to put your trade also on a secular footing, I think goodwill, mutual trust, and the sense of brotherhood are sharing a common goal. We took a pledge to create regional consciousness. I think South Asian University has sown the seed. It is for trade people, it's for government people, it is for policy makers in both the countries to follow it up. I think I have reason to compliment our efforts, and I hope that governments at large in the two countries will not be lacking behind in any other matter. Inshallah, I can see that the future days are as bright, as cheerful to people of both the countries, and I'm looking forward to the day when it will be visa-free travel from this side to the other side. We will like to share, participate in your marriages just as we would like to share, because marriage is another social area in which much is common between the two countries. Thank you very much.
If any of you were wondering, or if Dr. Chadha was wondering why we invited him to this inaugural session, I think none of us will have any doubts now why we invited him. Thank you, Dr. Chadha, for those spectacular opening remarks. And let's give him a big round of applause. आप आए हमारे घर खुदा की कुदरत. May I now request Sanjana to please hand over to Secretary Mr. Rajiv Kher the first edition of our annual Trade Perception Survey. And for Mr. Rajiv Kher to please release it. May I request Mr. Rajiv Kher, and Secretary Designate, Ministry of Commerce, to please give the special address.
Good morning. Thank you, Rajat, for that very generous introduction. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed always a privilege to participate in programs organized by ICRIER and particularly in the context that we are all here today. I can recall I did participate in the last year's program as well. To be honest, I do not deal with South Asia trade in the Department of Commerce. I was associated with the South Asia trade till 2008. But because of my obvious interest as a citizen of this region, I have interest in seeing that South Asia integrates well on economic grounds, and therefore I've been following the developments as they occur. I also had the privilege of being part of a governmental process over the last few months, and recently I did participate in the intergovernmental discussion when Honorable Minister from Pakistan with his officials was visiting Delhi. So that gave me a sense of where we are. And let me confess that when I was listening, my brief was essentially listening, because as Rajat has introduced, I have to take over as Commerce Secretary from the 1st of February. I was more interested in understanding where we were and where we used to be in 2008. And to be very honest with you, though of course I was not surprised, but I did not see a lot of change from where we were in 2008 and where we are today. Of course, there were several elements which were very pleasant changes. But the biggest thing that I noticed was that we were still talking of very basic fundamentals, and the world was moving much faster and in a much different direction. But before I do that, let me compliment ICRIER for taking this initiative for the last several years. And I was looking at the papers in the folders, particularly the perception survey and the